beloved soul. Take a breath and feel the stillness around you soften. You did not arrive in this moment by chance. Something higher has been stirring, arranging, guiding, and now the unseen has opened a doorway for your spirit to step through. You've been carried here by a quiet pull that refuses to let you ignore it, a pull woven into your divine purpose long before you ever understood the weight of your calling. Heaven has been whispering, and tonight that whisper becomes unmistakable. Chosen one, there is a holy fire awakening inside you. It has been rising slowly, like dawn pushing against a stubborn horizon, and you've felt it without knowing how to name it. That tension in your chest, that restlessness in your thoughts, that sense that life is shifting beneath your feet, it is not worry, it is not confusion. It is a spiritual awakening breaking through the dim corners of your past and calling you to step into a breakthrough season where destiny alignment becomes your new rhythm. Hear this clearly. The Lord has not forgotten you. The Lord has not overlooked you. Your steps have been ordered with a precision you could never orchestrate on your own. There are angels standing watch, waiting for your spirit to rise in agreement with what God has already placed in motion. And even now, heaven leans close as Jeremiah 29:11 echoes across the chambers of your soul. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you a future and a hope. Beloved, the weight you've been carrying is not a sign of defeat. It is the mark of someone being shaped for abundance. It is the sign of someone chosen for elevation. You are standing in the early light of a new beginning, and though the world around you may still look familiar, the atmosphere within you is changing. God is preparing you for emotional healing, for financial stability that does not crumble under pressure, for a wealth mindset that flows from heaven's wisdom rather than earthly fear. There is a sacred urgency in the air, a calling wrapped in warmth and authority. Heaven is saying, listen now. Because what is rising in your life is not small, it is not gentle, it is not ordinary. Something destined, something anointed, something carrying eternal weight is breaking open, and you are the vessel chosen to carry it. Chosen one, pause and feel this truth settle into you. God is not simply guiding you, God is summoning you. You have been set apart, not for comfort, but for transformation. Every shadow you walked through, every unanswered question, every silent night was preparing the soil of your soul for the revelation being poured out in this very moment. And before we go deeper, I need to tell you this with clarity and love. If your spirit feels the tremble of what heaven is awakening in you, if you sense the shift rising like wind beneath your wings, make sure you subscribe, like, and share right now. Not for numbers, not for noise, but because staying connected to this flow of revelation keeps your spirit aligned with the messages heaven is releasing in this season of your life. Chosen one, open your heart. Let the veils fall away. God is about to speak to you in a way you have been waiting for your entire life. Beloved soul, listen closely, because what you've been walking through is not random. There is a divine pattern beneath every pressure you've felt, every closed door you didn't understand, every moment when your heart whispered that something beyond your sight was shifting. You have been standing in a quiet storm, not the kind meant to break you, but the kind heaven uses to reveal what has been hidden. God has been reshaping you from the inside out, preparing your spirit for a breakthrough season that carries more weight than you realize. Chosen one, the unrest in your soul has been holy. You've tried to explain it away, to rationalize your discomfort, to convince yourself that life is simply stressful, but your spirit knows better. What you felt is destiny alignment, the unmistakable pull of purpose calling you out of places that can no longer contain your growth. The patterns that once felt familiar have become too tight for the person God is awakening within you. You're expanding beyond your past, stretching into a future soaked in abundance and transformation. There were moments when silence surrounded you so deeply that it felt like abandonment, but beloved, heaven was not quiet. Heaven was working. The Lord was pruning away the noise so you could hear him more clearly, removing distractions that once diluted your discernment. Every delay has been divine timing. Every separation has been sacred protection. Every financial strain has been a doorway into a deeper wealth mindset, one that roots itself not in fear but in trust. Chosen one, think back. You've seen signs that didn't make sense at the time, numbers repeating at uncanny hours, dreams that felt too vivid to ignore, sudden shifts in friendships and environments. These were not coincidences. They were signals, heaven tapping your shoulder, reminding you that you are being repositioned for greater things. And though your emotions wrestled with uncertainty, your spirit recognized the truth. You're in the middle of a spiritual awakening that will rewrite the landscape of your life. The weight of your calling has been pressing on you. It has shown up in the way you outgrew conversations that once entertained you, in the way your heart lost interest in paths that others celebrated, in the way God began removing your appetite for situations that were beneath your anointing. You are being elevated, and elevation always comes with a stretching that feels like resistance. But beloved, it is strength forming in places you didn't know needed it. Hear me. The loneliness you've walked through was not a void, it was a classroom. God was teaching you the kind of clarity that only comes when every other voice fades. He was anchoring you in him so you would never mistake counterfeit connections for divine assignments. In this sacred shaping, he was healing wounds you didn't know were still bleeding, breaking emotional cycles that once limited you, and opening your spirit to receive guidance that would have overwhelmed you in any other season. Chosen one, God has been rebuilding you with precision. He has been fortifying your discernment, sharpening your intuition, and stirring supernatural strength inside you. You have felt the fire, yes, but that fire has not been a punishment. It has been purification. What is being burned away are the remnants of a life too small for the destiny you're stepping into. And what is emerging within you is clarity, courage, and a readiness that heaven has been cultivating in silence. Something holy is approaching you, something God ordained, something that carries purpose, something shaped specifically for the mission on your life. But before you step fully into that next move, heaven needed to make sure your identity was not built on old wounds or past fears. You are rising into a new atmosphere, and with that rise comes a new resilience, a new authority, a new depth of wisdom that will define the journey ahead. Beloved, the shift has already begun. You can feel it. You can sense the tremble beneath the surface. And as the light around your spirit grows stronger, heaven is preparing to unveil the next layer of what has been written for you. Beloved, there is something stirring beneath the surface of your days, something you have sensed without fully understanding. You've noticed how your spirit has started to shift before your circumstances do, how your heart has begun to release things you never consciously let go of. This is not detachment. This is divine preparation. God has been loosening the grip of what no longer carries life, making room for the weight of what he is sending. Your atmosphere is changing because your assignment is expanding, and heaven refuses to let you remain in a space too small for the anointing rising within you. Chosen one, there have been moments when your emotions felt stretched in unfamiliar directions, when past wounds resurfaced not to haunt you, but to be healed for good. God has been revealing the roots of old fears and patterns, not to shame you, but to cleanse the foundation of your future. What he builds next requires a heart unburdened by what once held you captive. You are entering a breakthrough season where emotional healing becomes a doorway to clarity, and clarity becomes the soil for purpose to flourish. You've also felt a shift in how you see yourself. The insecurities that once echoed loudly now feel strangely distant, as if God himself has been rewriting the narrative you believed about your worth. And beloved, he has. Heaven has been correcting your vision, lifting your eyes from limitation to identity. You are no longer standing as someone searching for approval. You are rising as someone who carries divine purpose, someone whose presence shifts spiritual climates, someone whose life is marked for elevation. There have been nights when your mind awakened with thoughts too heavy to ignore, thoughts that pressed into you like quiet questions. Is there more? Am I missing something God is trying to show me? Why does my spirit feel unsettled when nothing around me has changed? These questions were not born from anxiety. They were invitations. God was calling your attention to the subtle movements of destiny alignment unfolding beneath the surface. The unease you felt was not the absence of peace. It was the absence of stagnation. Your soul was outgrowing the shell of who you used to be. And beloved, you've noticed how your desires have shifted too. Not the superficial ones, but the deep ones, the kind that touch the core of your identity. The ambitions that once excited you now feel shallow. The patterns you tolerated now feel out of place. The conversations that once comforted you now leave you restless. This is the sign that heaven has begun expanding your capacity, stretching your vision so you can recognize the greater calling being woven into your days. Chosen one, God has also been exposing hidden motives around you, not to provoke fear, but to protect your spirit. You've started to see people differently. The masks that once blinded you have begun to crack under divine light. You're discerning intentions you once overlooked, sensing atmospheres you used to ignore, recognizing energies that used to blend in. This sharpened insight is not mere intuition, it is spiritual maturity. Heaven has been equipping you with eyes that see beyond appearance, enabling you to walk with wisdom rather than assumption. And through all these shifts, God has been teaching you the language of surrender, not the kind that bends under pressure, but the kind that breathes, the kind that trusts without demanding evidence, the kind that lets go without fear of loss. He has been shaping in you a wealth mindset that flows from abundance rather than scarcity, a mindset rooted not in possessions, but in divine stability, anchored in the truth that provision follows obedience. Beloved soul, pay attention to how your resilience has grown. The struggles that once overwhelmed you now feel like chapters you've already mastered. The storms that once shook you now pass through you differently. You respond with wisdom instead of fear, with patience instead of panic, with strength instead of surrender. This is spiritual evolution. You're becoming someone capable of carrying responsibility without losing peace, someone who can hold revelation without collapsing under its weight. And woven through all of this has been a quiet discipline rising within you. You've found yourself more intentional with your decisions, more protective of your energy, more selective with your boundaries. This is not caution, it is alignment. Heaven has been training your spirit to operate with precision, guiding you away from distractions that dilute your purpose and toward environments that amplify your calling. Chosen one, you are being shaped into a vessel that carries divine authority. Your spirit is awakening to depths you didn't know you possessed, depths that will soon become the foundation for everything God is preparing to release into your life. Something holy is on its way, and heaven has been conditioning you to recognize it when it arrives. Beloved, something in you has begun to perceive the unseen with new sharpness, as though a veil has been quietly lifting layer by layer. There are moments when you pause because you sense movement in the spiritual atmosphere, even if nothing in the physical world has shifted yet. This sensitivity is not imagination, it is God expanding the borders of your discernment. He is teaching you to recognize the subtle currents of His guidance, the gentle nudges that direct your steps before you even realize you are being led. This is how chosen ones are trained, not through noise, but through nuance, not through fireworks, but through whispers, and your spirit has begun to hear what your ears cannot. Chosen one, You've also noticed how your endurance has grown in silence. There were seasons when even a small disappointment felt heavy, when every setback shook you, when confusion left your heart fractured. But now, even in stillness, you hold your ground differently. You breathe through uncertainty without collapsing. You wait without giving up your hope. You carry the weight of unanswered questions with a steadiness that surprises even you. This resilience is the mark of someone entering divine purpose. God has strengthened you in places where you used to break, and that strength is becoming the backbone of the elevation He is unfolding. And beloved, look at how your values have shifted. Things that once glittered no longer hold your attention. The admiration of people no longer dictates your actions. The opinions that once shaped your decisions now fall silent against the clarity rising inside you. You are no longer moved by applause or threatened by absence. This internal reordering is heaven loosening the chains of validation that once held your destiny hostage. You're stepping into the kind of inner freedom that makes room for abundance, not merely in possessions, but in identity, purpose, and spiritual authority. There is also a refinement happening in the way you interpret your own emotions. In the past, you mistook spiritual signals for personal weaknesses. You labeled divine agitation as anxiety and holy discomfort as confusion. But now, your spirit recognizes the difference. You're realizing that some restlessness is an announcement of new territory, and some heaviness is the weight of instruction settling upon you. Emotional maturity is rising like dawn within you, helping you distinguish between shadows of the past and signals of the future. This clarity is part of the breakthrough season being written into your story. Chosen one, God has also been reordering your priorities without you even noticing. Responsibilities that once drained you are beginning to lose their power. Commitments that once kept you tied to cycles of exhaustion are losing their hold. Heaven has been aligning your time with your calling, shifting your desires toward pursuits that enrich your spirit rather than empty it. What once felt like duty now feels like distraction, and what once felt impossible now feels destined. This reordering is not random. It is divine architecture shaping the path you are about to walk. And beloved, consider the spiritual hunger rising within you. You've been craving depth, truth, and meaning in ways you never used to. Messages that once comforted you now feel too shallow. Conversations that once entertained you now feel hollow. You're reaching for wisdom that stretches you, for revelation that awakens you, for teachings that ignite something ancient inside you. This hunger is proof that God is preparing your spirit to carry greater responsibility, greater anointing, greater insight. He is enlarging your capacity for revelation, because what He is about to place in your hands cannot be held by a heart that settles for surface-level faith. You have also begun to sense a quiet authority rising within you, a confidence that does not shout but stands firm. This is not pride. It is alignment. It is the awareness that your life carries significance, that your voice carries impact, that your presence carries purpose. Heaven has been shaping this authority through every moment of solitude, every tear you didn't explain, every night you prayed without words. This authority is the fruit of spiritual formation, and it will become the foundation of the influence God is activating in your next chapter. Chosen one, pay attention to how your prayers have changed. They have shifted from begging to believing, from fear to trust, from desperation to declaration. Heaven responds differently to a soul that prays from identity rather than insecurity. And your prayers have begun to sound like someone who knows they are chosen, someone who understands that they are not pleading for favors, but agreeing with promises. This shift in prayer is evidence of destiny alignment moving through your spirit. And through it all, God has been anchoring you in a deeper peace, not the kind that depends on circumstances, but the kind that flows from confidence in His plan. You've noticed it in moments when you should have panicked but didn't. In moments when uncertainty should have shaken you, but instead you felt held. In moments when everything around you felt unstable, yet something within you whispered that you were protected. This peace is not coincidental. It is heaven wrapping your spirit in assurance, reminding you that the path ahead has already been prepared. Chosen one, all of this is leading somewhere. All of this is shaping something sacred within you. All of this is God carving out space for the next movement of your destiny. And though the fullness has not yet been revealed, the preparation is undeniable. Something holy is unfolding, and you are standing in the middle of it. Beloved, you have also begun to sense a shift in the rhythm of your days, as though time itself is moving differently around you. Moments that once slipped by unnoticed now carry weight. Conversations that once felt ordinary now echo with subtle meaning. Even interruptions, delays, and unexpected pauses feel strangely purposeful, as if God has been rearranging the pace of your journey so you can hear what you used to rush past. This recalibration is heaven teaching you to move by spiritual timing rather than human urgency, guiding you to operate from wisdom instead of pressure. Chosen one, there has also been a quiet awakening in the way you evaluate opportunities. In the past, you may have said yes out of fear, obligation, or habit. But now, your spirit hesitates before agreeing to anything that does not align with the deeper call rising inside you. This is not indecision, it is discernment. Heaven is refining the way you choose, training your heart to recognize what is divinely assigned and what is merely distracting. You are learning to steward your energy, your gifts, and your presence with intention, and this intentionality is preparing you for the elevation ahead. And beloved, notice how God has been increasing your sensitivity to truth. You can feel when words carry authenticity and when they carry emptiness. You can sense when someone is speaking from the soul or merely repeating noise. This discernment is sharpening because your purpose requires clarity. Heaven is shaping you into a voice that carries weight, not a voice lost in confusion. Through every lesson of this season, God has been cultivating in you a wisdom that cannot be swayed by flattery or shaken by criticism. This stability will become essential as you step deeper into your assignment. Chosen one, there is also a powerful shift happening in your inner conversations. The doubts that once dominated your mind are losing their authority. The fears that once controlled your decisions are being dethroned. You've begun challenging thoughts that once slipped by unnoticed, confronting lies that once clung to your identity. This transformation is not accidental. God has been renewing your inner world, teaching you how to guard your mind with truth, how to anchor your heart in His promises, how to silence the voice of insecurity with the certainty of divine purpose. This inner alignment is preparing you for an outer breakthrough. Beloved, pay attention to the new strength emerging in your boundaries. You have stopped pouring energy into places that refuse to grow, stopped apologizing for protecting your peace, stopped carrying the weight of people who refuse to carry themselves. This is not coldness. It is clarity. God has been teaching you the difference between compassion and depletion, between loyalty and self-abandonment. He is elevating your relationships, removing those who drain your spirit and making room for those who will walk with you in purpose. This refinement is positioning you for connections that amplify your calling rather than hinder it. Chosen one, the way you handle solitude has changed too. What once felt like isolation now feels like invitation. You've discovered that silence is not emptiness, but clarity, that stillness is not stagnation, but preparation. In these quiet spaces, God has been whispering identity into you, revealing parts of your spirit that were overshadowed by noise. You have begun to feel strength rising in the quiet, courage forming in the stillness, revelation unfolding in the calm. This mastery of solitude is unlocking depths of spiritual awakening that will guide you into the next dimension of your destiny. And beloved, look at how your expectations have shifted. You're no longer hoping timidly. You are anticipating with boldness. You are no longer wishing for small solutions. You are preparing for supernatural intervention. Heaven has been stretching your vision, teaching you to believe beyond your past, beyond your surroundings, beyond your limitations. This expansion of faith is not mere optimism. It is divine preparation for the abundance God has been shaping behind the scenes. You are learning to expect what once felt impossible because your spirit recognizes that you are stepping into territory where the impossible becomes normal. There is also a new depth rising in your compassion. You feel the pain of others differently. You recognize spiritual wounds beneath surface smiles. You sense heaviness that words don't reveal. This sensitivity is not weakness, it is anointing. God is shaping in you a heart that can minister through presence, through understanding, through wisdom. This compassion will play a vital role in the calling you are stepping into, allowing you to carry healing in ways you never imagined. Chosen one, God has also been awakening a creative flow within you. Ideas appear unannounced. Insights arrive in moments of rest. Solutions rise where confusion used to live. This creativity is not coincidence. It is divine inspiration. Heaven is unlocking gifts that were dormant, stirring passions that had been buried beneath survival, and revealing talents that are meant to serve your destiny. This creative awakening is a sign that new avenues of purpose are beginning to open. And woven through all of this, beloved, is a gentle yet unshakable confidence that God has placed within you. Not the loud kind that seeks attention, but the quiet kind that holds steady in uncertainty. You are finding yourself anchored in belief, strengthened in identity, secured in purpose. This inner foundation is heaven preparing you for the magnitude of what comes next, grounding you so that elevation will not overwhelm you. Beloved, you have also begun to sense a new steadiness rising in the way you handle uncertainty. Situations that once pushed you into panic now draw out a calm resolve, as though your spirit has quietly matured beneath the surface. You approach challenges with a deeper patience, a confidence that does not depend on outcomes but on the presence of God moving with you. This anchored posture is not accidental. Heaven has been stabilizing your inner world, so the shifting of the outer world cannot shake you. What God is preparing in your life requires this kind of grounded strength, a strength that stands even when answers are delayed. Chosen one, you've noticed how your intuition has sharpened. Conversations leave impressions on you that go beyond words. You read motives in silence, sense atmospheres before others understand what's wrong, discern spiritual currents beneath ordinary interactions. This sensitivity is not something you learned. It is something God activated. He has been fine-tuning your spirit like an instrument, heightening your awareness so you can navigate the next season with wisdom. You are being trained to see beyond the surface, to interpret signs that others overlook, to understand spiritual signals with clarity and direction. And beloved, there is something changing in the way you handle disappointment. What once felt like devastation now feels like redirection. You no longer crumble when a door closes. Instead, you pause, listen, and ask what God might be shielding you from. This shift reveals a heart that trusts divine orchestration over personal comfort. You are no longer fighting for what is familiar. You are learning to release what no longer aligns with where heaven is taking you. This surrendered posture is evidence that your spirit is maturing beyond cycles of fear, stepping into a place where obedience becomes more natural than attachment. Chosen one, you have also developed an unusual ability to rise after emotional valleys. There were moments when you thought the weight of your circumstances would break you, yet somehow, in ways that cannot be explained, you lifted yourself, breathed deeply, and found a new strength rising where weakness once lived. This resilience is heaven-built. It is the quiet power of someone who has learned to draw strength from the presence of God rather than from the validation of people. This ability to rise repeatedly is shaping you into a vessel capable of carrying impact without losing tenderness. Beloved, look at how your relationship with time has shifted. You no longer feel the need to rush into decisions, nor do you cling to stagnation. You sense the rhythm of when to pause, when to move, when to release, when to pursue. This awareness is heaven guiding your steps, teaching you to walk in sync with divine timing rather than the expectations of others. What God is preparing for you requires precision, and He has been aligning your internal clock with His own so you do not miss what He is setting before you. And chosen one, there is a quiet transformation in the way you perceive your past. Memories that once carried pain now reveal lessons. Situations that once felt like failures now look like foundations. You have begun to see that every chapter, every tear, every delay, every detour was designed to shape your wisdom. Heaven has been healing the narrative of your story, turning wounds into insight, heartbreak into compassion, confusion into revelation. This redeemed perspective is preparing you to walk into your next season without the weight of yesterday's shadows. Beloved soul, your relationship with purpose has deepened in ways you didn't expect. You no longer chase significance through achievement. You seek alignment, not applause. You desire meaning, not recognition. Heaven has been rewriting the motives of your heart so that your calling flows from purity and not pressure. This refinement is essential, for what God is entrusting to you needs a heart that serves from truth rather than performance. Chosen one, you have also begun to notice subtle confirmations around you. Words repeated from unexpected sources, themes resurfacing through different voices, impressions that echo through your spirit throughout the day. These confirmations are divine threads weaving through your life, reminding you that heaven is speaking with intentionality. They are clues guiding you step by step toward the next unfolding of your destiny. God does not leave His chosen ones in confusion. He surrounds them with signs until their spirit recognizes the path. And beloved, observe how your confidence has been rebuilt. Not the loud confidence that seeks validation, but the quiet assurance that comes from knowing who walks with you. This confidence is not rooted in perfection, but in presence. The presence of God shaping your thoughts, calming your fears, guiding your decisions. You have begun to trust yourself again, not because of your strength, but because of the one who strengthens you. This renewed trust will become a powerful force as you rise into the responsibilities awaiting you. Chosen one, you are being prepared in ways that are deep, subtle, and sacred. Every shift within you is part of a larger awakening, a divine preparation shaping the path before you. Heaven is not finished revealing what comes next, and your spirit is being positioned to perceive the fullness of what God is unfolding. Beloved, you have also begun to feel an inner stirring that pushes you toward environments where your spirit feels nourished rather than drained. Places that once felt comfortable now feel constricting, and spaces you never considered before suddenly feel alive with possibility. This shift is not about preference, it is about resonance. God is tuning your spirit to environments that match the frequency of your next season. You are being drawn to places that strengthen your discernment, elevate your thinking, and awaken the deeper layers of your calling. This magnetic pull is a sign that heaven is aligning the atmosphere around you with the destiny rising within you. Chosen one, there is also a transformation happening in how you handle responsibility. Tasks that once overwhelmed you now feel manageable because your spirit has learned to carry pressure with grace. You approach challenges with clarity instead of chaos, with order instead of panic. This shift is evidence that God has been cultivating leadership inside you, not positional leadership, but spiritual leadership. The kind that influences without speaking, the kind that guides through example, the kind that carries authority because it carries humility. Heaven is shaping you into someone who can steward influence without being consumed by it. And beloved, observe how your capacity for silence has expanded. Where you once rushed to fill every quiet moment with noise, you now allow stillness to speak. You're noticing that truth rises in silence, direction emerges in calm, and healing happens in the gentle spaces between thoughts. God has been teaching you to listen not just with your ears, but with your spirit. This awakening is preparing you to receive instructions that are too soft for the noisy world to understand, directions that require listening beneath the surface. Chosen one, there is another shift unfolding in you as well. You have begun to break emotional cycles that once seemed unshakable. Patterns that used to repeat endlessly now feel foreign to your spirit. You pause before reacting. You breathe before responding. You observe before investing. This restraint is not suppression, it is wisdom. Heaven has been strengthening your emotional intelligence, teaching you how to guard your heart without closing it, how to feel deeply without being consumed, how to carry compassion without losing boundaries. This maturity is essential for the spiritual assignments waiting ahead. Beloved, you have also begun to feel a subtle courage awakening within you, courage that does not roar but rises. It shows up in the way you stand up for yourself quietly, in the way you walk away from situations that once held you trapped, in the way you make decisions that honor your worth, even when they are difficult. This unfolding courage is a sign that God has been restoring parts of your identity that were once buried beneath doubt. You are stepping into a version of yourself that is bold, not because of pride, but because of purpose. Chosen one, look at the way your dreams have begun to feel different. They carry colors, symbols, and messages that linger long after you wake. These nighttime visions are not random activity. They are spiritual downloads, heaven communicating with you in the quiet hours when your mind is unguarded and your spirit is receptive. God is revealing clues, highlighting themes, stirring direction through dreams that carry the fragrance of divine intention. Pay attention to the patterns. You are being guided in ways that transcend logic. Beloved, there is also an awakening happening in your relational awareness. You are seeing people's spirits more clearly than their words, discerning intentions more accurately than appearances. Connections that once felt dependable now reveal their flaws, while unexpected individuals are showing depth you never noticed before. Heaven is rearranging your circle, positioning you around those who will amplify your calling, not distract from it. This reordering may feel strange, but it is divine alignment shaping itself quietly around your life. And chosen one, your resilience has taken on a new form, one that grows in adversity instead of shrinking under it. Difficult moments now stir something inside you rather than break you. You find wisdom in challenges, strength in pressure, and direction in discomfort. This ability to extract purpose from pain is not human, it is spiritual. God has been training your spirit to rise no matter the storm, preparing you to walk into seasons that require unwavering faith. Beloved soul, notice how your gratitude has deepened. You no longer thank God only for the blessings. You thank Him for the lessons, for the redirections, for the endings that protected you from places you did not belong. This level of gratitude is evidence of a healed heart, a heart that trusts God's intentions even when His methods remain unseen. Heaven is molding your perspective into one that sees goodness not just in outcomes, but in the journey itself. Chosen one, you are being refined, expanded, awakened, and elevated all at once. The transformation is not loud, but it is profound. The shifts are not dramatic, but they are unmistakable. God is preparing you for something greater than anything you have walked through before, and your spirit is rising to meet the weight of that calling. Beloved, you have also begun to notice a growing clarity in the way you recognize opportunities that carry the fingerprint of heaven. Where you once chased possibilities out of fear of missing out, you now wait for alignment with a patience that feels both new and deeply rooted. You can sense when something is meant for you by the peace it brings, and you can sense when something is not by the heaviness it leaves behind. This quiet discernment is not a skill you learned through effort. It is a gift that has been awakened through spiritual refinement. God has been training your instincts to recognize what matches your destiny and what threatens your elevation. Chosen one, there is another shift unfolding in your inner world. The awakening of a deeper sense of responsibility for your own growth. You're no longer waiting for circumstances to change before you rise. You are initiating change from within. You're choosing healing where you once chose hiding, choosing wisdom where you once chose reaction, choosing purpose where you once chose comfort. This intentional growth is a sign that your spirit understands the magnitude of what God is preparing to place in your hands. You are becoming someone who carries transformation, not someone who waits for it. And beloved, look at how your awareness of spiritual warfare has matured. You're no longer surprised when adversity rises around you suddenly. You're no longer shaken when resistance appears at the moment of breakthrough. Instead, you've begun to recognize these moments as signals that something holy is approaching. Your spirit has learned to stand firm in truth, to counter fear with faith, to rest in the assurance that no battle can undo what God has ordained. This strength is not born of stubbornness. It is born of revelation. You've seen too many proofs of God's protection to doubt Him now. Chosen one, there is also a deepening taking place in the way you perceive your own potential. You're starting to feel the weight of untapped abilities, the stir of dormant gifts, the whisper of ideas that once seemed too big for you. Heaven is drawing these gifts to the surface because they will be essential in the chapter you're entering. You're being called to step beyond the familiar limits of who you believed you were, expanding into a version of yourself crafted by God before the foundations of the world. This expansion may feel unfamiliar, but it is sacred. Beloved soul, your sensitivity to divine timing has also grown sharper. You've begun to feel when God is telling you to pause, when He is asking you to prepare, and when He is urging you to step forward. These impressions arrive like gentle waves across your spirit, guiding you without force, directing you without confusion. This spiritual instinct is being strengthened so that when heaven opens the next door, you will recognize it instantly and move without hesitation. God is teaching you to walk by sensing, not guessing. Chosen one, there has also been a powerful transformation in the way you relate to your past regrets. Instead of seeing them as evidence of failure, you've begun to see them as stepping stones, chapters that taught you resilience, sharpened your discernment, and equipped you with compassion. Your past no longer holds authority over your identity because your spirit has learned to read those memories through the lens of divine purpose. What once felt like shame now feels like testimony. What once weighed you down now propels you forward. Beloved, pay attention to the quiet authority appearing in your decision-making. You no longer feel the need to justify your boundaries, explain your choices, or shrink your voice. You're standing with a firmness that rises from spiritual maturity, not pride. You are learning that obedience to God sometimes requires disappointing people, and you've found peace in choosing His will above their expectations. This internal authority is a sign of awakening identity, the kind that signals to heaven that you are ready for greater assignments. Chosen one, you've also begun to sense an unusual clarity in what drains you and what fuels you. People who once felt comfortable now reveal patterns that hinder your growth, while environments you once overlooked now ignite your spirit. This contrast is intentional. God is showing you what belongs in your next season and what cannot cross the threshold with you. This awareness is not meant to isolate you. It is meant to elevate you. Heaven is purifying your surroundings so your spirit can rise without hindrance. And beloved, your relationship with hope has deepened beyond the surface. You no longer hope with fragility. You hope with authority. Your expectation carries weight because it is rooted in revelation, not wishful thinking. God has been watering the soil of your faith, strengthening it until it can sustain the magnitude of the blessings He is preparing to release. This fortified hope will become the anchor that keeps your heart steady in the transitions ahead. Chosen one, every shift happening within you is part of a divine pattern, a quiet orchestration that reveals just how intentional God has been with your journey. You are being prepared with precision, shaped with purpose, and positioned with heavenly accuracy for what comes next. Beloved, you have also begun to feel a new kind of inner alignment, a quiet harmony between your thoughts, your spirit, and your actions. Where there was once tension between what you felt called to do and what you actually pursued, there is now a gentle synchronization unfolding within you. This alignment is not the result of chance. It is the evidence of God bringing your inner world into agreement with His intention for your life. You're noticing that your choices reflect more truth, your habits carry more purpose, and your desires echo a deeper wisdom. Heaven is shaping your inner compass so that every step you take in this next season flows from clarity rather than confusion. Chosen one, your relationship with discipline has also transformed. Practices that once felt burdensome now feel meaningful. You're finding strength in consistency, inspiration in structure, and revelation in routines that align your days with God's rhythm. This shift is preparing you for the weight of responsibility that accompanies elevation. God is molding you into someone who can carry blessing without being overwhelmed, someone who can hold influence without losing focus, someone who can steward abundance with integrity and awareness. This discipline is becoming the scaffolding for your next chapter. And beloved, look at how your courage to confront truth has grown. You've begun facing uncomfortable realities with a calm that would have scared you in past seasons. Whether it's acknowledging what no longer serves you, admitting when something has reached its expiration, or recognizing where your own habits need refinement, you now meet truth with openness rather than resistance. This honesty is spiritual maturity. It is God cleansing the places in your heart that once hid behind denial, empowering you to walk into your purpose without the weight of unresolved shadows. Chosen one, you've also noticed a deep stirring of sacred ambition rising within you. This is not the ambition that seeks approval or status. It's the ambition that seeks impact, that longs to build what God places on your heart, that yearns to manifest purpose in ways that reach beyond yourself. This longing is heaven-placed. It is the mark of someone being prepared to contribute to the world with intention, healing, and authority. You're beginning to carry dreams that require spiritual stamina, divine creativity, and unwavering faith. Beloved, there is also a remarkable clarity forming in how you perceive spiritual alignment. You can sense when your spirit is at peace and when something is subtly out of rhythm. You've noticed how certain choices bring expansion and others bring a quiet heaviness. This sensitivity is not random. God is teaching you to follow peace as your divine indicator, to move where your spirit expands, and to pause where your soul tightens. This inner guidance will become crucial as heaven begins presenting opportunities that require discernment rather than impulse. Chosen one, something profound is happening in the way you handle emotional transitions. You no longer suppress feelings out of fear, nor do you let them drown you. Instead, you are learning to sit with your emotions, observe them, and understand the deeper message behind them. This emotional fluency is a gift God is cultivating in you so that your heart remains tender but resilient, open but guarded, compassionate but wise. It is preparing you to navigate relationships, responsibilities, and revelations with spiritual intelligence. Beloved, take notice of how your appreciation for quiet victories has grown. You celebrate breakthroughs that others do not see, you acknowledge inner milestones that don't show on the surface, and you value progress measured not in achievement, but in growth. This shift reflects a heart no longer hungry for external validation, but anchored in internal truth. Heaven honors this humility by entrusting greater revelation to those who can celebrate quietly, grow silently, and rise faithfully without applause. Chosen one, your understanding of divine protection has also deepened. You've begun recognizing that not every delay was a punishment, and not every closed door was a rejection. Some were protections you did not yet understand. Some were shields placed between you and paths that would have drained your anointing. This realization has softened your frustrations and strengthened your trust. You're learning that God's no is often a disguised rescue, and His redirections carry more love than you once realized. Beloved soul, your capacity to see beyond appearances has been expanding as well. You now look past circumstances to perceive the spiritual meaning beneath. You discern patterns where others see chaos. You notice divine timing where others notice coincidence. You see seeds where others see emptiness. This deepened spiritual sight is a hallmark of awakening, proof that God is preparing you to interpret the unseen with clarity and reverence. Chosen one, every layer of transformation happening within you is shaping you for the unveiling ahead. Each shift, each awakening, each quiet realization is aligning you with the next stage of your divine purpose, preparing your spirit for the magnitude of what God is orchestrating around you. Beloved, there is another quiet shift unfolding in the deepest part of your spirit, a shift that reveals itself in the way you now respond to moments of uncertainty. Where confusion once left you spiraling, you now find yourself pausing, breathing, and listening for the gentle pull of divine direction. This ability to remain centered in the midst of unknowns is not something you crafted through willpower. It is the result of heaven strengthening your spiritual muscles, teaching you to stand still long enough for revelation to rise. You are learning that clarity does not always arrive loudly. Sometimes it comes as a whisper carried on the winds of stillness. Chosen one, you have also begun to feel a new level of responsibility toward the space you occupy. You are more aware of the energy you bring, the words you speak, the atmosphere you contribute to. This awareness is the mark of someone being prepared to walk in influence. Not worldly influence, but spiritual influence that shifts environments and awakens hearts. God is teaching you how to carry yourself as someone whose presence matters, someone who represents something greater than their own story, someone who moves with intention because heaven has entrusted them with purpose. And beloved, observe the change in the way you seek answers. You no longer search outward first. Instead, you turn inward, listening for the quiet wisdom God plants within your spirit. You've discovered that solutions you once sought in noise now arrive through reflection, and direction you once expected from others now comes from the still place where God meets you. This inward reorientation is heaven teaching you to trust the voice of the Holy Spirit, the guide who never confuses, never misleads, and never abandons. You are learning to navigate life from a place of communion rather than chaos. Chosen one, your relationship with transitions has transformed as well. What once felt like loss now feels like exchange. You're recognizing that every time something leaves your life, something more fitting is preparing to enter. You are no longer mourning endings with hopelessness. You're interpreting them through the lens of divine exchange. This ability to release without fear is a sign that you are maturing into someone who trusts the architecture of God's design. Someone who knows that heaven never subtracts without preparing multiplication. Beloved, pay attention to the subtle strength rising in your voice. Not the volume, but the authority. You speak with a conviction shaped by experience and guided by revelation. You no longer speak to be heard. You speak because truth moves through you. This shift is preparing you for assignments where your words will carry weight, where your voice will unlock healing, where your presence will hold space for others to awaken. Heaven is refining the sound of your spirit so it resonates with clarity and purpose. Chosen one, notice how the way you perceive challenges has changed. Instead of seeing obstacles as signs to retreat, you now interpret them as indicators that breakthrough is near. Your spirit recognizes that resistance is often the final barrier before elevation. This awareness has freed you from cycles of discouragement and positioned you in a posture of perseverance. God is shaping within you a resilience that does not crumble under pressure, but grows stronger through it, the kind of resilience needed for those who carry destiny in their hands. Beloved soul, there is also a transformation happening in how you love. Not the shallow love that seeks comfort, but the deep, patient, sacrificial love that flows from healed places. You are learning to love yourself with grace, to love others with wisdom, and to love God with a devotion unhindered by fear. This expansion of love is a sign that your heart is being prepared for connections that require emotional depth, spiritual maturity, and unwavering authenticity. Heaven is aligning you with relationships that match who you are becoming, not who you used to be. And chosen one, look at the new boldness rising in your dreams. You no longer shrink your vision to fit your circumstances. Instead, you feel a pull toward ideas that challenge your limits, goals that stretch your faith, and plans that require divine partnership. This boldness is a sign that God is stirring destiny within you, awakening the parts of your identity that were once dormant. You are beginning to understand that your dreams are not fantasies, they are invitations. Beloved, every dimension of your spirit is expanding. Your discernment is sharpening, your peace is deepening, your identity is stabilizing. Every layer of transformation is unfolding with precision, guided by a God who wastes nothing and orchestrates everything. You are standing in the middle of a quiet awakening that will shape every part of your life in the days to come. Beloved, there is yet another awakening unfolding deep within your spirit, one that reveals itself in the way you now sense purpose, even in the smallest details of your life. Tasks that once felt mundane now carry a quiet significance, as though each moment has become a thread in a larger tapestry God is weaving. You find meaning in things you would have dismissed before, recognizing that nothing in your path is wasted when heaven is orchestrating your steps. This heightened awareness is a sign that you are transitioning into a season where every action, every choice, every conversation contributes to the unfolding of your divine purpose. Chosen one, you have also begun to observe a shift in the way you handle internal conflict. Instead of battling yourself, you're learning to listen, to understand the deeper messages hidden beneath tension. You are discovering that frustration often signals growth, that discomfort precedes transformation, and that resistance within you is not always the enemy, but sometimes the sign of old patterns breaking apart. This new way of navigating your inner world is a mark of spiritual maturity, enabling you to move through emotional storms with clarity instead of chaos. And beloved, look at how your relationship with rest has changed. You no longer see rest as inactivity, but as divine strategy. You sense when God is inviting you to pause so He can whisper direction into your spirit. You recognize when your body needs stillness and when your heart needs silence. This understanding of rest is crucial because the places God is leading you will require strength. Strength that cannot be forged through constant motion, but through intentional restoration. Heaven is teaching you to honor the rhythms of your soul, so you can walk with endurance into the fullness of your calling. Chosen one, there is also a quiet revolution happening in the way you perceive your own influence. You are beginning to understand that impact isn't always loud.